situation in America's leading and most expensive universities is worsening. Columbia has begun mass suspensions of students involved in pro-Gaza protests. Now, what will happen to these students' futures? Their suspensions, their legal records, their accommodation, their jobs. On the whole story, let's talk about the continuing upheaval across campuses, the conflict between free speech and anti-Semitism, and why these students want the universities to cut off financial ties with Israel. The latest is that many students at Columbia defied the university deadline to vacate the protest site and instead barricaded themselves inside the Hamilton building. As a result, Columbia has suspended these students, saying that these protests have created an unwelcoming environment for many of their Jewish students. The protesting students across American universities are demanding that the universities cut off ties with Israel, divest, and come clean on their financial links with the Israeli state. Columbia has so far categorically stated that it will not divest from finances in Israel. Protesting students in leading universities like New York University, Harvard, Columbia have vowed to protest against Israel, which has so far killed over 34,000 people in Gaza in its retaliatory strike in response to Hamas's October 7 attacks. Students say that American companies doing business in or with Israel are complicit in its ongoing war on Gaza, and so are the colleges that invest in these companies. So how are universities linked to Israel in this case? In simple terms, all leading universities have endowment funds that are used to fund labs, research, infrastructure, salaries, etc. University endowment funds are an important source of revenue for many higher education institutions. They own shares of large companies from Amazon to Microsoft and put money into private equity, hedge funds and index funds. The wealthiest universities have large internal investment teams that manage this money. Now, in this context, many major US companies like Amazon, Coca-Cola and Microsoft have investments in Israel. And this is the flashpoint, the major flashpoint in these universities. For example, at Yale, student groups are urging divestment from military weapons manufacturers that aids Israel's offensive. Columbia students have put the spotlight on Google, which has a cloud computing deal with the government of Israel. How are other universities dealing with it? Just like Columbia, Cornell University has also suspended some students. The University of Southern California has cancelled its main stage graduation ceremony for students. Similarly, arrests were made at the University of Texas and the New York University. This is not the first time when students have forced the universities to cut off ties. Another example is South Africa's Apartheid. It was a policy which basically discriminated against people based on the color of their skin and race. It was practiced in South Africa between 1948 and 1994 by the white minority government. In 1985, students successfully pressured Columbia to pull out of companies like Coca-Cola, Chevron, Ford and American Express in South Africa.